Pushtetet tona nuk janë kur neutrale. Ata thuren nga pushteti, paraja dhe ëndrat e atyre që guxojnë të imagjinojnë.
One of the first things we learned about Tirana was that it was a boulevard without a city. It's really at this junction around car dominance versus pedestrian movement, and you've still got most people walking, and especially in the more residential areas, the women and the children are walking and need those walkable environments and not to be displaced by the rise of motorization, which is inevitable with the economic progress that is happening in Albania. But it doesn't have to exclude sustaining walkable spaces.
I think as a foreigner, for me, in the beginning it was mostly about understanding and learning. So the engagement that I had was mostly like trying to meet people, trying to understand first of all the history in terms of like city development and architecture, but then also the politics behind that, the politics behind the urban development. Documentation is really important here. So to document the historical architecture, but also what was made with it now. I feel that there are a lot of women here in architecture. Maybe also because I have a lot of friends that are architects, so I feel like I know more women than men at this point. And I also have the feeling that there are a lot of women in high positions in architecture here. Like the Architects Association, in the university, there are a lot of women.
Tirana ka një histori shumë interesante që nga shpallja kryeqytet në 20 janar 1920 nga Kongresi i Lushnjës deri në ditët e sotshme ka kaluar në disa plane rregulluese që nga planet rregulluese të Austrisë, austriake, italiane, të sistemit komunist. Çdo sistem ka lënë gjurmë të veta mbi këtë qytet.
I feel in general like the women in architecture here are really strong. I think they have probably grown really strong because of the environment, because it's still a very patriarchal society. But I think it's really impressive like how many women are in the field. What I really learned here is like the power of network. And if you want to do something, you have to take initiative and do it.
Një palej që i evidenton nga atë periudhë, u kisha krijuar ca skedar social-ekonomik, sepse urbanistika është shumë e lidhur me këtë faktor. Ishte një nef kryesor, po i quajnë nef, një ndarje kryesore, kur hini te kjo kasollja, që kishte televizorin dhe saçin si për mbi çatin e kashtës.
I feel Albania has a lot of historical architecture that is not really recognized abroad or not known, and I think this is very crucial to build an international network of people that work in monument preservation. Here, that's an article from 1927 from the German architects newspaper about the urban development in Tirana and the urban plan that was made by the Austrians.
Urbanistika është shprehje e drejtë për drejtë e një sistemi politik. Qyteti i njerë është ka të fishuar, ka vajtur 1,5 milion gati banor, ka qenë i papërgatitur për këtë lëvizje të madhe demografike, e cila sigurisht vuan tani pasojat e veta, po ka filluar të ketë një vëmendje në investimin e infrastrukturës.
So during the construction phase, you must provide facilities for people to continue walking and accessing. But these development sites, I'm not a fan of just thinking that high-rise is the only way to do density. There's lots of lovely ways. Like the Bloku area is a dense neighborhood as a low-rise density neighborhood. So during the construction phase, you must have care for the movement of people, but also taking the opportunity with the development that's happening to create shortcuts and priority pedestrian streets and things through that.
International architects have had interest in Tirana for a long time, and from what I learned, it's not the first time that Tirana is changing rapidly, because also the communists have demolished a lot of architecture. In terms of preservation, we have, like, because I'm from Berlin and that's my hometown, and we've lost a lot of architecture there that we as a society now feel was part of our identity. And I see that a little bit here. I think it's too fast. In order to find a good way to deal with the past, we have to look at it a little bit, and we cannot erase it. I think it has to be decided very carefully what to keep and what not to keep.
Investimet në rrugë të reja i shoqërohen edhe me infrastruktura të reja, por hyrja në brendësi të qelizave ekzistuese është akoma në fazë që mendoj që duhet të ketë vëmendje veçantë. Qyteti vuan pasojat në infrastrukturë, në trafik, në transport, në infrastrukturë arsimore, kulturore, në hapësirat gjelbëra etj, të cilat janë pamundura sot të rehabilitohen.
I find the architecture and the furniture really, really interesting because it's produced locally. Like, I'm mostly interested in communist heritage, so and for me it's super interesting because it's produced locally and it's very much Albanian. Yeah, and I think what is important here is to find local solutions and not take international architects and let them put the same building that they have put already in several other countries, because I think we have local problems here that deserve a local solution. For example, the unrenovated buildings and so on. It is not a unique issue, but it's in the context of the laws and so on in the society here, it's a unique situation that we need to solve locally here and not copy something that happened outside. And also, I think there are a lot of people here who are extremely well educated and hardworking, and I think these people have the absolute ability to come up with like good solutions for Tirana and for the urban development and for the way that people invest in architecture and so on, but they don't have a voice.
Rikërkesa për ndryshim morfologjie të banesës çoi në krijimin e një tjetër tipologjie ndërtimi. Banesat e para që janë ndërtuar pas 90-s karakterizohen nga sipërfaqe banimi shumë të mëdha. Tregu i vinte i etur nga një mangësi e gjatë. Pas 10 vjetësh me krijimin e familjeve të reja, secili filloi të shkonte në shtëpinë e vet, kthehet mbrapsht rrota e historisë. Filloi të ketë kërkesa për apartamente të vogla.
That most of the people we've met and worked with who are engaged and committed to this subject are the women. You find globally, similarly in Tirana, that walkable spaces are more important for women and girls and women and children and for the elderly to access their lives. And so there can tend to be more of a focus on that by women practitioners and female politicians. Some of the interesting statistics from Tirana is that more women and girls walk to commercial areas, so they tend to walk more than men and boys, and they tend to use sustainable transport more than men and boys. So they are out there, they are the customer base, but the services is often focused on the commute. The second thing that happens for women, of course, as we all know, is a sense of security. It's not just about the walkability, but it's about that sense of personal security. The conversation around policy has to remember that people aren't moving just from one place to another, that they're going to multiple destinations, that women and children move at all times of day and need to feel comfortable moving both in the daylight and the after dark times as well. And that they will often, with children, want to spend more time in public space where there can be opportunities for children to play or for relaxation and not just for movement through that space.
Reforma po nuk filloi nga ne, nëse një grua nuk do që të ketë independencë ekonomike nga burri, ketë profesionalizëm të pavarur, të jetë zonja vetes, asnjëherë nuk ka për të shpëtuar nga patriarkalizmi që është vërdall. Mendoj që gratë janë më të ekuilibruara, kanë më balancë, janë më humane, mendoj që janë më pak të korruptueshme se sa burrat. Dhe mendoj që reforma duhet fillojë nga vetë ne gratë.
I've spent 20 years working on walking, and people say, why walking? Like, And I have that clarity that this is what I want to be working on, and I've worked on it in different things. So have some clarity about what it is that you really want to achieve. Have some patience around that. Find the people who are really working in that space. So it might not be walking, it might be public space for children, or it might be access for people with disabilities. Find those allies, in that space, and don't be afraid to take positions of power or authority or to provide input to that.
I think Albania and Tirana has a lot to offer, and there is already, like, the city, especially Tirana, has made such a big development already. That is also because of the people, and I think you can all be very proud of what you've already achieved here, what is there. I don't know. I think we all as women have to be more confident and stand our ground in general, and connect with other women, connect with people in general, learn as much as possible, listen to old people.